Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video today I'm going to be talking all about my Gore Guide series and what I'm going to be doing here on my channel in the new year. So this is my first video of 2017. I do apologise for being missing in action for the first month and a half. This video has taken me a really long time. I've put a lot of effort into it to make it as professional as I possibly can. This is going to be my new series called a Gore Guide. I created the Gore Guide series on my channel because I wanted you to learn more about special effects and more about realism. I do love doing my characters, my body paints and my fun Halloween stuff, but at the end of the day I am a special effects artist and I do love realism and I like to make things look as amazing as they can without it being borderline silly. This video today is going to be all about Ben Nye Nose and Scar Wax. Now it is a very in-depth video teaching you tips and tricks that I have learned over the years using this product to make it a bit easier for you. I'm going to show you 2 demos on how to use this product. I'm also going to have a pros and a cons list so you can see the positives and the negatives. Now my Gore Guide series is going to be really specific to a bunch of different topics. How to create realistic bruises, using latex for prosthetics, using latex by itself, alcohol paints and are they worth purchasing, and things like that. If you guys would like to learn more about Scar Wax, then let's get started with the video. Diving straight into the demo, I'm going to teach you how to create a simple wax wound today. This is an easy shallow laceration made out of Scar Wax. Starting out, I'm taking Ben Nye's Spirit Gum and applying that straight onto the area where I want my wound to be. A pro tip of mine is to always apply adhesive as a base. Regardless of the time that you need this to be on your skin, it will of course improve the longevity, but you also need to have the stability there so you can sculpt the wax and get fine details in it. If you don't have it glued to the skin, it's going to slide around and make it almost impossible. So make sure you use this step and do not skip it. Many different makeup brands out there have their own version of a Scar Wax product, so hopefully all of the tips that I give you today will apply to the one that you have at home. I'm using Ben Nye's Nose and Scar Wax in this video, and what I love about this brand is that they have a really great colour range of flesh tones, as you can see on the left. To blend all of that out today, I'm using Vaseline, and this is going to help really melt the edges down into the skin. And of course I'm using this double-sided spatula, which is going to be really great for a sculpting tool as well. A common mistake that I see with a lot of artists is that they use way too much product. When it comes to Scar Wax, less is always more. It's going to give you a realistic look if you of course have the correct amount of skin in the area where your wound is. People tend to apply way too much and it starts to become too built up, too chunky and really fake looking. So just apply a small amount of wax onto the area where you've laid down your adhesive. My Spirit Gum is nice and tacky by now, so as you can see I'm just going to press that down firmly and move on to the blending process. Blending is something that a lot of people have trouble with when using this product. My biggest tip is to use moisturizer and your hands to blend. Your hands are going to have some nice warmth in there, which is going to really melt the product into the skin. Without using lotion, this would be almost impossible. It's very difficult to blend out wax at the best of times because it is so sticky, so using that moisturizer really smoothens it out and makes everything blend seamlessly. Don't forget to apply it on your utensils as well. This is a very important step when it comes time for you to start carving your wound or your cut into your Scar Wax. That's fresh Scar Wax underneath, so it is quite sticky. And in order to get a perfect sculpt, you need to make sure that there is nothing that's going to stick to this spatula. So keep dipping it in your lotion so then you can go back in and create your perfect wound. Once you're happy with the base of your sculpt, it's now time to remove that shine that you can see and make this look more like skin. The best way to go about that is taking some sort of a stippling sponge. You can grab all of these at the special effects store, or you can just grab one off the back of your bar sponge like I have here. All I'm going to do is lightly apply texture with my sponge. This is going to add the appearance of pores into the skin and give it a little bit more texture so we're not so shiny and fake looking. To seal that all in place, you will need to apply a few thin layers of liquid latex. The best way to do this is to stipple them on and let them dry in between, and this is going to create a barrier and a seal, not only for longevity purposes but also to help the paint adhere when it's time. To remove that last bit of shine from the liquid latex, I'm going to set this all in place with a Ben Nye Neutral Set powder. You can use any sort of powder that you have at home, mattifying powder, neutral setting powder, translucent powder, baby powder. Hell, you could even use flour if you have it. It's going to give it that nice grip, make it super matte and help all of the paints that we're going to apply on top really stick down to the wax and latex. So once you've dusted that all off, you might need to just go back in and lightly fix up or touch up any edges that could have been damaged, or even just sharpen them up and make them look a little bit nicer. So this is what the finished sculpt looks like before we move on to the painting process. I do have to say I am quite proud of how seamlessly the edges blend down into the skin. It is very hard to tell where the Scar Wax ends and where my real skin starts. Less is definitely best in this situation. It gives you a flawless blend down into the skin and more of a natural and realistic look. Now I'm going to move on to the painting process. So I'm taking 2 alcohol activated palettes These are from European Body Art, and I'm going to start mixing up a custom skin irritated colour. To activate the paints, I'm using 99% isopropyl alcohol on a short chip brush that I have just cut down to make it nice and firm so everything splatters perfectly. I'm diluting down a custom colour that's going to colour match the wax to my skin tone. I used the C3 skin tone from the Cover Up palette and the Mauve Rose Adjuster from the Special Effects. This is quite a tedious layering process, but once you've got it nicely blended out into the skin, you can then move on to filling the wound. I'm taking more of that rose colour and popping it on the inside as a wound filler, and then heavily diluting it and applying it around the edges, lightly blending that out with a sponge just to give my skin further irritation to make it look nice and sore. Once I've blended that all away, it's time to move on to colouring the wound and giving it some blood. So I'm taking a fresh blood and starting to apply that sparingly around the inside. If you need to blend it out after you've placed it, just apply more alcohol on your brush and lightly bring it towards the centre, but mainly focus it heavily around the edges. Once you've got that defined, you can then go in with a black and further define and deepen certain areas. Again, try not to use too much of this, make it count and make it sparingly to really deepen up and give that effect. Now it is time to move on to blood. So a really good tip that I can give you guys is applying a tiny drop of dishwashing soap into your blood. This is going to stop it from separating and beading up. If you've ever noticed when you apply blood on a non-stick surface, especially wax, the dish soap will act as a binder and hold all of the blood together, so when you do apply it on the wax, it's not going to separate and look all fake and weird, because it does do that quite often, so this is a really great tip. I like to put two different bloods together just to get a great custom colour. The amount of blood that you apply as an artist is totally up to you. It's always personal preference, whether you like to apply a lot or little. I start to apply it into the wound, and then using a wet wipe or a wet tissue, I like to disperse the blood around the wound and make it look very natural, as if you've been moving your hand around, trying to hold the cut together if you're bleeding, and even when it dries, it just gives it more of a realistic look. With a yellow alcohol paint, I applied a little bit of fatty tissue in there just to kind of break up all of that red and give it more of a realistic tone. So that is the completed cut. The wound did dry, but you can redress it to make it look a bit more fresh and new, but sometimes having an old dried up wound is also quite cool for an effect. So to remove this, it is quite simple. All you need to do is scrape off the whole entire wax with your spatula and then start cleaning away at your hand. I like to use a makeup wipe to get almost every little bit of excess off, and then you will need to go in with some sort of a spirit gum adhesive remover. Spirit gum is quite a strong product, so you will need to make sure that you have the proper adhesive remover to get it off, to make sure there is no sticky residue and that you're all clean and ready to go. For demo number 2 today, I'm going to be creating this Trophobia with maggots look. I will also show you how to create the quick DIY maggots in this video out of polymorph plastic. So to start out, we're going to repeat the same steps as we did earlier with the scar wax itself, applying down an adhesive as a base, applying your wax straight onto the tacky area and starting to smooth that into the skin. Don't forget the rule that less is always best. This might break it a little bit because you do have to apply so much, but still keep that in mind when you're building it up to not make it look too chunky. Once you've blended that all into the skin, I'm going to take the back of 3 different brushes and use that to create my holes today. Don't forget the tip I gave you earlier, dipping your utensils into a lotion or moisturizer. This is really going to help you, especially with something like this, where you're making such deep holes. It's really going to pull the wax up if you don't have some sort of a lubricant on there. So I'm going to start to blend them down into the skin and taper them off from deep to shallow, as you can see here, starting to apply really small ones along the edges where the wax blends away. To remove all of that shine that you can see, I'm taking a small stippling sponge and applying that lightly over the top of the wax and the center of my hand as well. This is going to pick up any of the excess moisturizer, and it's also going to apply little pores and holes into the skin to make it look more realistic. Now you can set that all in place with a few layers of latex. I skipped this step because I'm just using it for a demo today, not to increase the longevity of the product. I then went in and set all of that in place with a translucent powder to mattify it down and to make sure that there is some nice grip there for our paints. So this is the base of the sculpt, and now it is time to move on to the painting process. Just repeating the same steps as I did earlier, mixing up a custom irritated skin tone color to match myself and then stippling that over the top. Now I am using alcohol paints, but you don't have to in this video. You could also use cream paints, foundation, concealer, anything that you have that's going to color match the wax to your skin and sit on top nicely. You will need to set it with a powder maybe if you're using a cream product, just to make sure that it's all in place. That rule also applies for the inside of the wounds like the fillers. You can use red lipstick, cream paints, anything that you have to fill in the blood and the tones that you need to get the look that you're going for. So the pus in this look is actually like a grey colour from the reference photos that I found. So I filled that with a rice paper colour. Then I just ran around the edges and applied a little bit of soft irritation and deepened the holes with that pink and red just to give it more of a gruesome look. Taking a fine detailing brush and the black alcohol activated paints, I'm applying small dots on the inside of every hole, and this is going to replicate the little bugs that live underneath your skin inside of this phobia disease. It is super gross and honestly probably the worst part of the video, but then again I'm going to bump this up to the next level by showing you how to create these simple DIY maggots. So this is the finished look without the maggots, but I wanted to add them in there just to give some gooey texture and some blood. So to create these quick DIY maggots, you will need either polymorph plastic or Elimorph plastic. Heat the pellets in warm to hot water until they go clear and soft, then you can start to mold them into the shape that you need. I just rolled up small little worm and maggot sized shapes and started to texturize them on my fine tooth comb. This is also the perfect time to bend them in half and create lots of different sizes and shapes. You can even cut some of them in half. Once this cools down, the plastic will return to its original form, so they are ready to paint. I just applied a really light wash of brown alcohol paint over the top, and that really sank into the crevices and brought out those really ugly little details that we need. This is really going to liven up the look and make it look super gross and gory. To give them a really juicy look, all I did was apply them onto a palette with a little bit of blood and glycerin. You can also use lube as well because that's going to make them nice and shiny. Adding these maggots into the wax wound gives it a really awesome three-dimensional look. It makes it look so much more intricate and disgusting, even though it is quite a simple look to achieve. This is what it looks like without blood, but then I went ahead and applied some blood at the base of every maggot anyways. Just for all my gore lovers out there, I had to apply it just to make it a little bit more shiny and red. Once you've got the blood, that is the completed look. I hope that you enjoyed this second demo, and it's giving you a little bit more ideas of ways that you can incorporate things into your scar wax wounds to make them very gruesome. Now it's time to review my pros and cons list, starting out with my pros. Scar wax is a lightweight product. It is cheap to buy compared to other special effects items. It can be quick to use and easy to work with once you understand how to blend it out correctly. It does come in a variety of skin tones, which is great. You can create multiple effects, realistic scars and wounds with this product. I personally think it is ideal for photography purposes only, and it is easily accessible so you can pick it up almost anywhere. My cons list. I think that scar wax is a super sticky product to work with. It has almost no movement. It cannot be reused. It has a very short longevity. It is difficult to learn and does take a while to understand the blending process. It does react to heat and sweat and pretty much almost anything, so it will fall off of your skin. It indents easily because it stays permanently soft like a putty. And for continuity purposes, I would definitely not recommend using this on a set. It's really difficult to try to replicate the same wound twice. Overall, I do think it is an amazing product, and it's always fun to work with. There's so many diverse things that you could do with this. It's great for beginners, it's great for pros, and you can create some nasty looking stuff with this. I wish the longevity time was a little bit better. To be honest, it is mainly for photography and for short film use. Definitely just like a YouTube video, you wouldn't really wear this out because it's just going to fall off. But it's fun to get creative with, and I definitely recommend you all give it a go. This video today was mainly just all about my tips and tricks. Keep an eye out on my channel for more specific scar wax videos. That's it everyone, that is the end of my video. I hope you all enjoyed and hopefully learned something today. If you did, please give it a very big thumbs up because it helps me out so much. If you guys recreate any of my work, please tag me on Instagram at BonnieCorbinSFX. I check it regularly and I do repost some of the awesome things that you guys do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.